Within the busyness of each day, it's easy to lose sight of those core habits that make you feel like yourself. Those daily rhythms that ground you, bring life to your routine, and promote a balanced and healthy life. In 2023, I'm focusing on serving my body in the way it truly needs it. Having core tenets of my daily routines, but also allowing for smoothness in how each day plays out. Not every day allows for every one of these habits or rhythms, but I do aim to incorporate most of these for living a life of more ease and joy that comes from balance. I've always had a relatively consistent sleep cycle, but there's something about waking up and going to bed at relatively the same time every day that is so good for our bodies, especially just with regulating your own circadian rhythm. Our bodies really do react to the sun, and when the sun wakes up, our bodies naturally feel that urge to wake up, and spending more time in sunlight during the day can often help you fall asleep at night. And everyone's different with this. What time works for you to wake up is going to be different than me versus going to bed. I really try to wake up at 7 most mornings. That's kind of my perfect time. That's just when the sun starts to rise. And then I try to be in bed by 10 o'clock and then asleep by 11 to get a full 8 hours. We're starting the morning at about 7:04 right now, ready to complete all the other things on my list, but I definitely feel refreshed and ready to take on the day knowing that I've had a solid 8 hours of sleep and I'm living more in tune with the sun. Also try to keep the overhead lighting off until the sun has come fully up, ideally throughout the rest of the day too. There's something just so cozy and warm about spending your morning slowly waking up and not turning on those stark fluorescent lights right when you wake up. It really has made me enjoy my mornings so much more. I also try to keep the lighting just very warm. We have a lot of these smart bulbs, and what's really nice about them is you can actually control the color tones, and we have them throughout our living room right now, and I basically just turn those on right when I wake up. I also feel a lot more at peace with those warm tones as opposed to having cool tone lighting. Again, everyone is different, but for me, I love the look of just a yellow light, especially for completing the rest of my morning routine. This one is a big one, but that is just savoring my 1 cup of coffee a day. I love coffee. I love the atmosphere of coffee shops. I will drink a latte, a hot black coffee, a cold brew. I love it all. But I know that drinking just so much caffeine throughout the day is not good for my body, especially for my hormones. And so for the last, I would say 6 months to a year, I've been trying to limit myself to just my morning coffee. And even this, I still try to take with food. I'm just having a little Siggy's yogurt with this as well. Increasing those cortisol levels right when you wake up in the morning can be a lot for your body. And that doesn't even necessarily have to be with coffee. That can be getting a stressful email right when you wake up, having to run out the door and not having a proper routine before actually entering all the responsibilities that you have for the day. Those things can be hard on our bodies. And for me, I realized that I was just always pumping myself with caffeine. I would have this morning coffee, and then at 11 o'clock, I would have a cold brew. And sometimes I would even have a 2 o'clock coffee too. And that is just not good for our bodies. And even deeper than that, I think it teaches me just to be grateful with less in general and not always need to have more of something all the time, but just to savor the single version I have. I'm not perfect at this, especially while traveling. I love trying a bunch of different coffee shops. I don't always eat with my caffeine in the morning, but especially when I'm at home in my routine, I really try to make this a part of my routine. And especially in 2023, I'm trying to be even better at that. So cheers to our morning coffee. I always like to do some sort of devotional or reading in the morning, and for me this really goes back to the principle of just giving my first fruits to God. I think it's so easy, especially when you wake up in the morning, to get on your phone and to start worrying or even just focusing on other things before actually making your requests known to God, to praying to God. The principle of giving your first fruits usually refers to tithing in terms of giving back the money that you have been blessed with in your life. For me, one of the things that I think is so valuable in our lives is time. And I know everyone's different with kind of reading and praying, but for me, I love to do this in the morning. I find it sets my day on the right track. And it is like giving that kind of first fruit of my time of the day to God, because He is ultimately the one who gives me the time and also the one who I find my source of trust and reliance on. And so I go back and forth on what I'm reading pretty frequently, but right now I've been loving New Morning Mercies. This is probably my favorite devotional. I read this one all the time, and I'm also just trying to read my Bible straight from the Word more frequently, and so I really like the ESV version. That's the one that I prefer to read, but of course there are many different variations for whatever works for you. This has been a part of my routine for years and years. I've not always been perfect at it, but especially with this new year, I'm trying to be better at focusing on this before getting into the workouts, the work, all the other stuff that is a part of my day, that this is the center. It is time for breakfast, and it's actually only 8 o'clock right now. And back in the day, I used to eat breakfast so late in the day, not so late, but it would be 10:30 whenever I had breakfast, and I would typically eat after I worked out, which I will still do. I kind of have that first mini breakfast and then I'll have a second one. If I haven't eaten by 8:30, I always try to eat breakfast. This has been really good for my hormones. And also I've realized that I used to have this thing in my head that I wasn't hungry until later in the day, but I actually realized that I think I was just suppressing my appetite, or I was just running on adrenaline in the morning in terms of having coffee, getting my run in, and I wasn't really thinking about breakfast. I felt so much more balanced throughout the day when I actually have a satiating breakfast that has protein, healthy fats, complex carbs, and is something that is actually nourishing my body. And so I'm about to make some breakfast. My go-to lately has been some grapefruit, a couple of fried eggs. Sometimes I will do a piece of toast with avocado, or sometimes I will just do the avocado. I think I'm just gonna do the avocado today because I'm not as hungry because I did have that yogurt with my coffee. I know everyone has different feelings on breakfast. Some people do intermittent fasting. I do usually work out before breakfast, but I'm not gonna work out until later today. I've been trying to listen to my body, and I was just craving more of a slow morning today. So we're gonna go ahead and eat. When it comes to fitness, I used to be of the line of thinking that it didn't really count as a workout if I wasn't super sweaty, exhausted, beet red in the face. I really did a lot of just high intensity workouts, a lot of HIIT cardio. But now things have changed a lot. I do still like to do some sort of high intensity workouts every now and then. I do run a lot too. For me, I find that running is really helpful for my mental health, but I do not do anything that's really stop and go type of cardio anymore. I have learned a lot about cycle syncing over the past few months, which essentially is matching your workouts to whatever phase of your cycle in, because depending on if you're approaching ovulation, if you're in your follicular phase, your luteal phase, you're menstruating, these things can really change your energy levels, and you want to make sure you're doing a workout that's going to serve you best. So in that follicular phase, it can be helpful to do more cardio, HIIT, those higher intensity workouts. And especially during ovulation, you tend to have more energy too, so it can be helpful to do those HIIT workouts, to do a lot of strength training that's a little bit heavier, boot camps, those higher intensity workouts. But as soon as you hit that luteal phase, that's when that energy starts to go down, and it's easier to take it a little bit easier, do maybe some more lower intensity workouts like Pilates, lighter strength training. And then actually during that menstrual cycle, it's helpful to do very low intensity workouts or just give your body some rest during that period. And so right now it's actually my ovulation phase, so I do feel more energy. And I'm gonna go ahead and do a strength workout today. Nothing too crazy because I did run the past couple of days, so my body is a little bit more tired just from that. But I'm gonna do a 45-minute strength training workout from Cindy Cummings. Hers are some of my favorites. No surprise, I've been using her workouts for a while, but I have found that kind of working to support my body instead of forcing my body to do workouts that aren't actually going to serve it has been super helpful, but also kind of a process to rewire my brain in that way. It can be difficult. I just got ready, and one of the things that I've been trying to be consistent with throughout this year is dry brushing, because my friend Carissa put me on a dry brushing, and there isn't a ton of scientific evidence to prove that this has a ton of health benefits, but I know for a fact that one, it's good for exfoliating, getting off all those dead skin cells and really kind of rejuvenating your skin. And I also feel like, this is the part that can be a little bit iffy, but it does seem to promote blood flow and really help circulation. And so I just use this dry brush. I really, really like it. And essentially you're supposed to go up towards your heart whenever you're doing it all across your body. I do it everywhere on my body. I don't do it on my face because I do find my face is a bit more sensitive, and this can dry out your skin. So it's always nice to moisturize too after you do it. But especially doing this in the morning, I find that it really does wake me up. It's kind of like having a cup of coffee, but for your body. And if anything, it's just one of those small things that you can do for yourself that really just feels nice. I'm not always the most consistent. I do forget this some days, but I definitely feel better when this is a part of my routine. I just got a little bit of work done, and I'm about to go have myself a reading day in the park. This is something that I want to start doing more often, just spending more time in nature. I do take Cash for walks very frequently. Aiden and I will go for walks, but there's something about just spending quiet moments alone in nature that are so rejuvenating and obviously so good for us. And I think especially January, February, March, I can find myself staying inside a lot more often just because it's chillier. It's not as beautiful outside. The trees are pretty bare. But I am in such a better mood, and I just feel so much happier when I'm out in nature. And so I want to start doing this more frequently. And instead of grabbing an afternoon coffee, I wanted to grab an afternoon smoothie. I just realized that we have a juice land in Dallas. I didn't realize that. And so I'm going to get a green smoothie and take that to the park, have a little rainy date. This is something that I want to do more often. Not a non-negotiable in that this happens every single day, but just spending time in nature at least once a day is something that I want to make a part of my routine. Back home now. I've just been catching up on some work, but I wanted to share about another thing that I have tried to do, especially in this new year, and that is minimizing things that leak my energy. This was something that I learned from my In the Flow book. I love this book. It says a 28-day plan working with your monthly cycle to do more and stress less. But I specifically really liked this one section where it talked about what an energy leak is. And it says, where's your energy leaking? Our energy gets drained when we are unconscious about all the little ways we compromise what we need in order to be in our peak flow state. Over time, this accumulates not only into mental overwhelm, but also into measurable stress and inflammation in the body. Check off all that apply to you on a regular basis. Not getting enough rest, skipping exercise, skipping meals, or not eating nutrient-dense foods, not maintaining boundaries or saying yes when you mean no, not asking for help, not managing your money and feeling stressed about it. And I think our energy is drained in different ways. If you're someone who is really extroverted, you might feel very charged by being around a lot of people, but maybe you're someone who prefers having alone time and you feel a lot more at peace when you just have that time really to stay quiet with yourself. And for me, a big energy leak has always been just saying yes to too many things, especially when it comes to work. And especially this last quarter of the year, I definitely had a busier just workflow, and I found myself not really having the space to be creative and feel inspired, which takes having margin of time that is free and not filled with stuff. And so I've been trying to say no to more things as of recently, and honestly saying yes to more social things, more things out and about in the world, and less to do with work. And I think we all have to figure out what those leaks are for ourselves. And I just wanted to share that if you're someone who is finding yourself just feeling drained all the time, that it's helpful to analyze your life and see where you can recalibrate. I just wrapped up my work, and something that I love to do around like 4:35 when I finish everything is actually diving into a book. And this is the one that I'm currently reading. It is called Awakening Fertility, The Essential Art of Preparing for Pregnancy, which sounds really in-depth. This is a book that you can read years and years before you ever think about, you know, wanting to pursue conception or anything like that. It has been so interesting. I'm actually talking about this book and a couple of other ones in a video that I'm putting out on Tuesday, and so I don't want to share too much, but I really think it's so beneficial to stay curious about the world, and that can be in so many different forms, whether you're interested in the environment or you're interested in a specific history topic, or for me, I've been learning a lot about just health and my body. I find so much joy out of just maintaining that sense of curiosity about the world. I think we can often lose that as adults with just mundane responsibilities of working 9 to 5 and then just being so tired that you don't even think to want to learn something new. I just really want to push myself to keep learning, even though I don't have any plans to go back to school right now. It's still nice to exercise that muscle of, you know, maintaining that curiosity and just learning something new, whether it be about yourself, other people, the world. And this is personally what I'm learning about right now. It's about 6 o'clock. I'm going to make us some dinner, and I was thinking about why I enjoy cooking so much as it relates to these habits throughout my day. And for me, I find so much fulfillment out of having some sense of responsibility or means of serving our family. And that doesn't have to be cooking for you. That can be anything. That could literally be making money for your family. That could be cleaning. That could be giving words of affirmation. Just doing something that is beyond yourself, that serves someone else, is so fulfilling. And for me, I think he does that for me in different ways. I love just getting to work with my hands, make a meal, sit at our table, talk about our days. I also just enjoy cooking and trying new recipes, so this is something that I try to keep a part of my routine most days. We're also gonna play pickleball after dinner tonight, which is something that we try to do, but it's honestly difficult because in Dallas it's kind of difficult to find a court that's open. I love having some element of just play, something that's fun, lighthearted, doesn't have anything to do with work. It's not necessarily productive by any means, but especially within our relationship, I find that I just have so much fun with Aiden. Our relationship is so much stronger when there is something like that in each day. Of course, this isn't always possible every single day, but it is something that I try to make a priority because it always brings us back to those dating days when that was the extent of our relationship with stuff like that, and it's easy to lose sight of that, especially when you've been married for a bit. So definitely want to try to make that happen tonight. We ended up doing tennis instead of pickleball, and I am so bad, but it felt good. It made me so tired too, and I wanted to share just a few of my bedtime routine things that I have done for years. Some of these things, but also some of these things are newer. I struggled with insomnia really, really badly when I was in college. And ever since then, I have really focused on just making my bedtime routine something that I look forward to. I know if you struggle with insomnia, it's easy to kind of fear bedtime because you associate it with restlessness and not peace, not dreams. It's often a very anxious time. And so these are the things that have really helped me. For one, I do sometimes take a magnesium supplement. It's called Calm. It's just a drink you mix with water. They have different flavors, but that magnesium really does help just kind of suck the stress out of my body. I can't really explain it, but it's really good for just calming down in the evenings. And so sometimes I will take that if I'm feeling just a little bit more wired. Cutting out that second coffee in the day has really helped a lot. And tonight I'm honestly just so tired that I'm not going to do that, but that is really helpful. I also really like making our bed and just our bedroom an oasis. I love the warm lighting we have. I turn our lights in here on a candlelight setting, and it's just so nice to come into a space that's just warm and inviting. And our bed too is amazing. I love the fact that we have a king bed. It's really so comfortable. I feel like we have so much space. I do love to cuddle, but I also like having my own space when I actually sleep. And I also love our sheets that we have. So I recently got some new sheets because we had some friends stay over, and so I needed an extra set. And so I got the linen sheet set from the Casa Luna line at Target, and I love it. There's something about linen bedding that is just so breathable and airy. And then our duvet cover is also linen, but this one is from Amazon. I really like it. I also try to eliminate, Aiden's taking cash out. I also try to eliminate any sort of kind of stressors before bed. I don't answer emails. I don't watch anything that is more stressful in terms of movies or TV shows. I personally am really affected by whatever I consume right before bed. So ideally, if you could just not go on your phone, I think that's the best. Sometimes I'll still watch YouTube, but reading before bed is also really helpful. Anything that just kind of calms your mind down, I try to do about an hour or so before bed. And also going to bed at relatively the same time every night, that is also super helpful. And for me, that's typically about 10:30, 11, 10 some nights, but I would say 10:30 is probably the average. That is everything. Those are the things that I want to keep up with in 2023. I hope this video was helpful. Like I mentioned, I'm very sleepy, so I'm gonna head to bed, but I hope this just encouraged you for living a healthier lifestyle in a holistic way. And you guys mean so much to me, and I hope you guys are having a great start to your new year, and I'll catch you guys in my next video. Bye, friends.